Have you ever wondered why being good never seems to be enough? You try to be honest, you try to be kind, you try to play fair, but it's like the world isn't wired for that. The ones who get ahead, the ones who win, they don't seem to follow the same rules you do. They bend them, break them, rewrite them. And while you're stuck doing what's right, they're already 2 steps ahead, smiling while they pull the strings. Deep down you've felt it, haven't you? That unsettling sense that goodness isn't rewarded, it's punished. That if you want to survive, no, if you want to win, you have to learn to be something else entirely. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He didn't write The Prince as a guide for saints. He wrote it as a weapon, a mirror reflecting what power really looks like when the masks are off. He said it plainly. It is necessary for a prince to learn how not to be good and to use this knowledge or not use it according to necessity. Not to be good, and that's the part you're supposed to choke on. That's the line that rattles your morality. Because you've been raised to believe that goodness is the ultimate goal, that if you do everything right, the world will reward you. But here's the truth you've always suspected. Power doesn't care about your goodness. It only cares about your usefulness, your cunning, your ability to adapt. The psychology of power isn't built on ethics. It's built on survival, and survival demands choices that goodness won't always allow. So let's look at you. You want to rise, you want to lead, you want to matter, but you've been told to be soft, agreeable, likable. You've been told that the best version of yourself is the one that bends, not breaks. And still somehow it never seems to be enough. You were raised to please, to dim your fire so others could shine, to smile when you're uncomfortable, to say yes when everything in you screamed no. Because somewhere along the way they convinced you that ambition was arrogance, that strength was threatening, that power, real power, was not for people like you. They told you to wait, to be patient, to trust that if you were just good enough, quiet enough, kind enough, someone would notice, someone would open the door for you. But here's the truth they never said out loud. The world doesn't reward softness, it consumes it. And now you feel it, don't you? That creeping sense that you're falling behind, that you've done everything right and still been overlooked, that playing nice has only gotten you ignored, that being likable has made you forgettable. You were never supposed to be a shadow, but they made you one because it served them. You want to rise? Then stop apologizing for the fire in your chest. Stop folding yourself into shapes that make other people comfortable. Stop lowering your voice so that smaller minds can feel taller. Because leadership isn't born in silence, it's born in defiance. You don't lead by asking permission. You lead by deciding, by showing up fully even when they flinch, even when they call you too much, too intense, too ambitious. That's what they say when they can't control you anymore. And maybe it's time to stop wanting to be liked. Because likability is a cage, it's a performance. And the cost of that performance is always your power. You end up sacrificing truth for comfort, instinct for approval, courage for applause. But applause fades, and comfort will never build a legacy. If you want to matter, you'll have to risk being misunderstood. You'll have to be willing to disappoint the people who only loved you when you were easy. You'll have to let go of the need to explain yourself to those committed to misreading you. And most of all, you'll have to stop waiting for permission. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is handing you a crown. You want to rise? Then rise. Stop shrinking. Stop softening your edges. Stop trading your strength for a seat at a table that was never built for you. Build your own. Take up space. Speak with certainty, and let them adjust. You were never meant to be quiet. You were meant to be undeniable. You follow the rules and others manipulate them. You stay quiet out of respect, while others speak over you with arrogance. You say yes to be kind, while they say no to assert control. You believe in decency, and they believe in results, and you wonder why they're winning. Machiavelli wasn't telling you to become evil. He wasn't telling you to abandon your soul. He was telling you to wake up. You were taught to play nice, to be agreeable, to follow the rules and wait your turn. They told you that being good was enough, that virtue would be rewarded, that patience was a virtue, and that honesty was the best policy. But somewhere deep down in the silence between your thoughts, you've always suspected it wasn't true. Machiavelli didn't come to shatter your morals. He came to expose the game you didn't know you were playing, the one where power moves quietly, where appearances matter more than truth, where kindness without strategy is just another form of self-sabotage. He saw the world for what it was, a battlefield of masks and motives. He understood something you've been afraid to admit, that goodness by itself is powerless in a world that doesn't play fair. He wasn't whispering corruption in your ear. He was dragging you out of your delusions, telling you to look, really look, at the people who rise and the ones who are forgotten. The ones who rise aren't always the best. They're the ones who understand control, perception, timing. They don't waste time being liked. They move with purpose. They bend reality, not to destroy it, but to survive it. You can't keep playing by rules that no one else follows. You think that if you just stay good enough, loyal enough, hardworking enough, someone will notice. That someone will rescue you, reward you, elevate you. But they won't. Because in the real world, people don't get what they deserve. They get what they can take. Machiavelli wasn't encouraging cruelty. He was warning against naivety. He wasn't asking you to become the villain. He was asking you to stop pretending that villains don't win. This isn't about abandoning your soul, it's about defending it. Because if you refuse to see how power operates, if you cling to the illusion of fairness, you won't just lose, you'll be used, again and again. Wake up, see the masks, see the games. Understand that morality without strength is ornamental, that principles without strategy are performative, that goodness without awareness is just another form of blindness. He wasn't trying to corrupt you. He was trying to wake the part of you that's already been betrayed, the part of you that's tired of being passed over, the part of you that's ready to stop asking for permission. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. So stop waiting, stop apologizing, stop hoping that the world will suddenly reward you for being pure. It won't. Be sharp, be aware, be dangerous if you must, but never asleep. Machiavelli didn't want your soul. He wanted your eyes open, because morality in the hands of the powerless is a leash, and power in the hands of the immoral becomes a weapon. He saw people for what they are, not what they pretend to be, and he told the truth, even if it burned. If you want to hold power, you need to learn how to not be good, and then you choose when to be good. That's the shift. You're not discarding morality, you're mastering it. You're not driven by kindness, you're using it. Strategic, calculated, controlled. You stop being predictable. You stop being easy to manipulate. You stop being food for predators pretending to be saints. Because the moment you open your eyes, the world looks different. The masks start to crack. The smiles look rehearsed. The kindness you once thought was pure, now you see it for what it really was: bait. They don't want you strong. They want you docile, predictable, emotionally disarmed. The kind of person who nods in meetings, apologizes for existing, and waits patiently for rewards that never come. You're easier to control that way, easier to guilt, easier to drain, but then you stop. You stop responding the way they expect. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening in the first place. You stop mistaking flattery for loyalty, and suddenly they don't know what to do with you. Because people who thrive on control hate unpredictability. They hate silence more than confrontation. They hate when you say no without explaining, without softening the blow, without offering 1,000 reasons to make them feel better. They hate it because they can't access you anymore. You're no longer open terrain. You're no longer their mirror, reflecting back the version of themselves they want to see. You become something else. Not cruel, not cold, just clear. And clarity in a world full of illusions is power. You start hearing the shift in people's voices when you don't flinch at their disapproval. You see their unease when their guilt trips stop working. You notice how quick their affection turns to distance the moment you stop playing small. Predators hate the light, and awareness is light. They don't come with horns and blood-stained hands. They come with soft voices. They come bearing compliments and concern. They offer help you didn't ask for, plant doubts you never had, and call it love. They disguise control as care. They preach about loyalty while watching you bleed. and they call you selfish the moment you stop feeding them. But now you see it. You see the patterns, the manipulation beneath the smile, the threat behind the favor, the expectations dressed as kindness. You no longer crave their validation, and that makes you dangerous. Because when you're no longer predictable, you're no longer prey. You become sovereign, unbothered, unmoved by passive aggression or praise. You respond when it serves you. You disappear when it doesn't. You create distance without guilt. And they hate that they can't follow you into this version of yourself. But let them hate it. Because this is what freedom looks like. Being unreadable to those who once fed on your softness. Being untouchable to the ones who only loved you when you were easy to use. You were never too much. You were never broken. You were just never meant to stay small. Because here's something else Machiavelli knew. People are not who they say they are. They wear masks. Masks of virtue. Masks of loyalty. Masks of friendship. And if you take them at face value, you will always lose. He saw politics as it really was, a game of appearances. If you seem good, they trust you. If you seem just, they follow. But if you are too good, too just, you become weak, predictable, replaceable. You think lions rule the jungle because they're fair. Number, they rule because they're feared. Machiavelli said it best. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But let's be honest. You've been taught to chase love, approval, validation. You were trained to make people like you. You weren't trained to make them respect you. That's where you lost your edge. Power doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in conflict. It grows in decisions that make you sick to your stomach. It grows in the moments you stop asking for permission and start taking space. Look at the world around you. Leaders who lie, dominate, manipulate, and rise. Not because they're right, but because they understand what Machiavelli was screaming into the void. Power is not about goodness. It's about perception, control, and timing. And when you start thinking like that, when you start seeing through that lens, everything changes. You stop giving your energy to people who drain you. You stop playing fair with people who exploit your fairness. You stop apologizing for taking what you've earned. You stop shrinking yourself to fit inside someone else's fragile ego. And you start becoming dangerous. Not cruel, not careless. Dangerous. Because when you know how to not be good, when you've looked into the dark and studied it, you become something different. You become capable, calm, cold if needed. You don't flinch at confrontation. You don't crack under pressure. You don't break when the world tries to bend you. You adapt. And that's what power demands. Not niceness, not comfort, adaptability. That's the psychology of power, fluid, flexible, fierce. You must know how to shift, how to read people, how to choose your moment, how to use your morality like a blade, sharp, clean, and only when necessary. Because morality, when used blindly, becomes a cage, and people will gladly lock you in it while they walk free. You've seen it, haven't you? The ones who preach the loudest about kindness are often the cruelest behind closed doors. The ones who talk about fairness know exactly how to twist the rules in their favor. The ones who smile the most are often the first to strike when your back is turned. Machiavelli didn't write for the angels. He wrote for the realists. The ones who saw the world for what it is, not what it should be. So here you are, listening, watching, thinking. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet tension between who you are and who you're expected to be. That pressure to stay soft when the world rewards those with sharper edges. You've been told to be kind, to be good, to believe that justice always wins. But deep down, you know better. You've seen what happens to people who play by the rules while others rewrite them in the dark. You're not naive anymore, not completely. That part of you, the part that used to believe effort alone would get you there, it's still breathing, but it's fading. You've begun to understand what Machiavelli understood centuries ago. The world doesn't operate on fairness. It runs on leverage, perception, fear. And those who survive are the ones who learn to adapt without losing their core. He didn't write The Prince to charm the innocent. He wrote it to awaken the observant, to whisper in the ear of those who were done being fooled by pretty lies. He wrote it for people like you, on the edge of becoming something more, no longer content to be shaped by others, no longer satisfied with being silent, safe, and sweet. So here you are. You've started to notice things, how influence is rarely loud, how power wears a smile before it strikes. You've started to see that good intentions aren't enough, that morality without strategy is just a performance waiting to be crushed. And you don't want to perform anymore. You want to move through the world with your eyes open. You want to choose when to speak, when to hold back, when to strike, and when to let things burn. Not out of malice, but out of precision. Because now you understand. There's a time to be gentle and a time to be cold. A time to forgive and a time to walk away with no explanation. You're beginning to see that power doesn't come from loud declarations. It comes from control. Self-control first. Then control over how others see you, fear you, follow you. You're not turning into a villain. You're remembering that softness alone was never going to save you. That's what Machiavelli was trying to say. Not that you must abandon your soul, but that you must protect it in a world that wants to strip it from you while pretending to applaud your virtue. He wasn't inviting you to become a monster. He was warning you that monsters dress well, speak softly, and smile when they stab. So now you think, you calculate, you don't react, you respond. Because real power is quiet, calm, measured. And that's what you're becoming. Not cruel, just awake. Maybe you're starting to understand that being good in this world isn't a strategy. It's a vulnerability, one that predators can smell from across the room. And if you want to survive, if you want to thrive, you need to evolve. No more playing nice, no more flinching, no more guilt for wanting more. Because now you know being good isn't the goal. Being effective is. You can still have principles, you can still have heart, but you need to protect it, guard it, train it. So when the time comes, you know exactly when to be good and when to unleash something far more powerful. That's what Machiavelli was trying to teach you. Not how to be evil, how to be free.